Brook, Newfoundland provides the stunning backdrop to the fifth round of the ITU World Cup Series. 150 of the world's elite triathletes are gathered to test themselves on a demanding and technical course. With the World Championships only weeks away, the competitors will be pushing themselves to the limits on one of the most difficult races in world triathlon. The competitors to watch out for include Virginia Beresategi, who will relish the challenge of the steep climbs in the bike course. Dika Hoogzaard, the newly crowned European champion, is in top form. Mika Soes of Belgium has a point to prove of some bad luck this season. Michaela Jones, one of the most consistent performers on the tour. And defending tour champion Emma Carney looking to regain her form after a difficult start to the year. The race begins with a 1,500-metre swim, 3 laps around Brook's Glenmill Inn Pond in the heart of the city, with a temperature of around 19 degrees centigrade. So the athletes will need to wear wetsuits. The 40-kilometre bike ride takes in 4 laps of one of the toughest and most technical sections on the ITU Tour this year. The run is again 4 laps over an undulating course, allowing no respite to the tired athletes. After 4 World Cup competitions, this is how the International Triathlon Union World Rankings look. Emma Carney still in the driving seat, ahead of Jackie Gallagher, Molnar and the ever-consistent Mouton and Jones, 4th and 5th. Well, this is one of the most beautiful triathlons we've seen, with the starting honours going to Premier Tobin of Newfoundland. 19 degrees the water temperature, which gives the athletes reason to wear wetsuits. Many had expected colder water temperatures, but maybe a little warmer for today's event. It gives me the opportunity to welcome our co-commentator and expert in the box, joining myself, Nick Fellows, British coach Steve True. Steve, the water temperature must be the first part of our conversation throughout today's competition. A lot warmer than we had first expected.
Scott LeDrew, the race organiser, Nick, was expecting very cold water, as were most of the athletes, but really just has warmed up in the last couple of days. Ideal conditions, and I think it's going to just equalise slightly for the poorer swimmers.
But we'll be focusing on the race action. Let's look at the map course for the swim section. 3 laps with a very steep 300-metre run into the transition area, just as the athletes are preparing for that 40-kilometre bike ride. Well, Michaela Jones there in the orange cap is looking to challenge the leaders. Nancy Kemp-Arendt looked to be the early leader for Luxembourg, but also throughout today's competition from Brook, take time to look at some of the scenery. This really is one of the most scenic events that we've seen on the tour. Absolutely beautiful area, and also one of the most exuberant crowds we've seen. 25,000 locals have come to cheer every one of these athletes, and they look to be rising to the occasion.
Well, just looking down there, Emma Carney back in the pack. Michaela Jones looks to be moving up. Michaela sometimes has to play catch-up on the swim section, but not today. She's in a good position, and certainly her swimming seems to have improved through the winter period.
As the race reached the end of lap 1, Nancy Kemp-Arendt was caught by Kathleen Smet as she resumed her normal place at the head of the field. The gap was only about 20 seconds as Emma Carney in the green hat and Mika Soes in purple stayed in contention with the leaders, just 18 seconds off. Back to the action, and we can see the race now starting to spread out. Kathleen Smet in the lead with a very fluid swimming style. Arendt Kemp is doing well to hold on to second position for Luxembourg. This is a great start for the European triathletes. And Kemp really looking to stay as close as she can to Kathleen Smet, by far the more experienced and faster swimmer of the two. And we'll move further down the field to see whether the Belgium and Luxembourg athletes are drawing clear. Very impressive swimming there. Isabelle Mouton in the white. You spot quite easily Marie Overby of Denmark in the black. And also the young Spaniard Beresategi having a good swim there. No question that Kathleen Smet leads coming into the second buoy, recording a time of approximately 12 minutes 06. Also good to see the Canadian local girl from Brook, Isabelle Baird, in the top 15 in only her first season's full training.
know the course, and I have all those people supporting me, and it's just a great feeling. I don't think there's many athletes having to compete in a World Cup race in their hometown, so I certainly have a special advantage there.
Well, it's a wetsuit swim, so it's the first time we've had a wetsuit swim this year in the World Cup Series, so it's going to make it a little more closer in the water. But then the tough bike course, you know, it is a hard bike course, and you know, that's definitely going to help the better bike rider. And I guess a few people from behind are going to find that a little more beneficial. And then the run, a hilly run, and it's really the first time we've had a hilly run too this year in the World Cup Series. So it's going to be a tough course, and I definitely think, you know, you're going to have to be strong in the bike and strong in the run.
A long way from home, but the Europeans have done exceptionally well in the opening section of this triathlon. The 1,500-metre swim sees Kathleen Smet of Belgium out of the water first. Just seconds behind her looks to be Nancy Kemp-Arendt of Luxembourg. And then the French triathlete, Christina Hock, is third. These are the three that will take it away nice and early. And this is where, Steve, tactical play becomes even more important, because the stripping down of the wetsuit takes up more time. We look a little further down the field, looking for Emma Carney, and also looking for the likes of Michaeli Jones. Certainly Jones, Mouton and Mika Sue seen in that first group, but this is that long, tough climb going into the transition area, which will make it very difficult indeed, and you've also got to get out of your wetsuit, Steve.
Well, this is reminiscent of the World Championships way back in '92 in Canada, where they had a very similar transition area, hilly run coming out, and it did make a big, big difference.
Emma Carney gets out of the water, 1 minute 14 seconds behind the defending World Cup champion, really struggling to find top form. That's a much better swim than we've seen from Carney for a long time. And Steve, Carney, a very strong runner. She may make time in this difficult transition.
She may make time in the transition. What concerns me is we're hearing rumours that Emma really does have a problem. We think maybe it's a blood disorder. Certainly she hasn't shown her real form this year, and it could well be the reason as to why.
Well, what was just three now looks to be one main group leaving the transition area. Not too speedy a transition for the three Europeans, Smet, Arendt and Hoek of Belgium, Luxembourg and France. Virginia Berasategui of Spain there, just getting into a little trouble getting into the pedals. She'll be disappointed with that. She'll find herself right in the middle of the pack once again. Now, Emma Carney, 50 seconds off the pace, looking to get back into that top form. Once again, Steve leaves herself with work to do. Also, psychological problems starting to appear in Carney's technique, style and race approach.
I think Emma will be pleased that there is a reason for why she's not having such a great season as she had done for the last 3 or 4 years. Once there's a reason, everything is explained and people will start rationalising. Mentally, Emma has to be one of the strongest athletes in the entire world, and I'm sure she's going to come back. There's a reason for it now. She'll work to her strengths, and she knows that come World Championships, she's going to be in just the best form that she possibly can.
Well, Emma Carney goes away as the leader. Kathleen Smet of Belgium out of the water first, doesn't have too great an advantage, and she'll want the rest of these cyclists to catch her up, so they'll work together as a group. We repeat ourselves many times in triathlon, absolutely vital that they work as a pack now. Confirmation of the swim times, 19:11 for the fastest, Smet of Belgium, then Kemp-Arendt of Luxembourg just 8 seconds behind. Hock is third, Michaeli Jones fourth, Berasategui fifth. Now, the bike course, very difficult indeed. 4 laps, long climbs, then fast technical descents around the Bay of Islands. Well, already the leaders are starting to jiggle for top position. Number 65, Francesca Russelli, the Swiss triathlete who we've yet to see really make her mark on the World Cup Tour, doing well to take top position. The established Michaeli Jones and Overby are with her. Now let's go back to the chase group. This is Emma Carney's chase group, also with her Jill Newman of the USA. And also good news for those triathletes is Natasha Badman, one of the technically fine cyclists of the Tour, will also help to take them along. There's the local girl, Isabel Baird. She really is bringing the hopes of Corner Brook alive here, and really starting to make an impressive mark in this, just her first season, and she's gone down! What a surprise, what a disappointment! For no reason whatsoever. The local girl is off the bike, Steve. There didn't seem to be a clash of wheels. She just seemed to topple off there.
Well, I don't know if she touched wheels there or not, but certainly that front tub is well off her wheel, and that's just going to put her out of the race.
What a disappointment for the locals. She looks to be out, her competition over. The helicopter shows the speed of the descents in this difficult cycle course, already full of drama in the early stages. We see Rusley of Switzerland amongst the lead group, Bartholomew of the USA, also Berasategui for Spain, Michaeli Jones, the ever-consistent Australians amongst them, also Marie Overby of Denmark, and the early leader Kathleen Smet. Well, into one of the climbs once again. The Rebecca Hoogsaard working well out of the saddle. Also Emma Carney going into the lead now. She knows she needs to drive this chase pack along if they're to catch up the leaders. Again, the speed of the leaders clearly shown. And really starting to find a lot of speed indeed. And also after that early crash, safety of the utmost importance.
Well, it almost looks as if some of the athletes are slightly under geared there. Their legs are just running away with themselves on this big descent, and I think probably the most sensible thing to do is just to get in their aerodynamic position.
Two hours before the race, I really get concentrated, and yeah, I'm very serious in my preparation, how to put my bike, where to put my shoes, and the course is in my head. So yeah, I have done the race several times in my head, so that's my preparation.
The bike course is excellent. It's the best course I've seen so far. It's going to be really hard, and that's good, I think. So you can get some benefit out of the bike. It's just, it won't be boring for sure.
The lead pack, including Michaeli Jones, Marie Overby and Mika Soos, battled hard to hold the distance of a minute between the second group. Emma Carney and Natasha Badman tried to narrow the gap and get themselves into contention for the run section as they approached the end of lap 1. Back to the action, lap 2, with Rusli, the Swiss triathlete, in the lead once again. Around about 10 athletes in the main group and in the chase pack, who now find themselves exactly 1 minute 3 seconds behind. Steve, it's looking unlikely that Emma Carney's group is able to make a challenge on the leaders.
Such a technical course this, and legal drafting is great, but when it is so hilly, really the drafting plays much less of a major part.
Again, a lot of care being taken on these very technical tight turns here. We've already seen one crash. One of the possibly most disappointing competitors to go out of the event, Isabel Baird, the local girl, doing so well in the swim and early sections, picking up a lot of speed on these fast descents. And also down University Hill here, really very tight, not only with the course itself, as you can see, athletes climbing on the other side of the road, but also the motorbikes and cameras getting in very tight on the athletes. This is Emma Carney's chase group, still over a minute behind, still with work to do. Emma Carney trying everything she can to pick up the pace. Again, finding life a little uncomfortable. Back to the leaders. Susan Bartholomew of the United States of America takes them along and keeping at a very steady pace. Both packs continued to battle it out. It was only a question of how much toll the steep hills would take out of each and every one of the riders. Emma Carney, supported by Hoogsaard, the European champion, and Badman, fought hard to stay in contention. Again, the helicopter shot just shows how difficult these climbs are. Each and every one of the competitors out the saddles. Steve, this is the first time we've seen a test such as this on the Tour this year.
Well, I think every race has its different place now in the circuit. And we can see Virginia Berasategui, the 22-year-old Spanish girl who did so well last year. Really a very, very young senior, and she's really trying to push away from Michaeli Jones there in second place.
Berasategui working well. But the experienced Michaeli Jones just tucked in right behind. Marie Overby there in third. This is Emma Carney once again, looking to be working so hard but making no impression on the leaders. She's still trying her best to pull this group along and pick up the pace. But Steve, as we said earlier, in a course as hilly as this, you really do need some exceptional riding to challenge the front runners.
You do need exceptional riding, but every shot we've seen, it's had Emma Carney at the front of that pack.
Well, back to the leaders once again, gathering speed. Isabelle Mouton taking them along. Good to see the consistent French rider, really ever fearless, picking up speed. Steve, what sort of speeds will we seeing on the bike here?
Well, certainly in excess of 80 kilometres an hour. That's 50 miles an hour they'll be coming down the hills.
In complete contrast, the chase pack still have it to do. Emma Carney closest to your screens in the blue, trying her best to push them along. Adman almost there, and in complete contrast, down in that almost downhill skiing aerodynamic